Sandwiched between the hollowed-out strip malls of America is a place I know too well, Ohio. If you're from Ohio, God bless you. It's flat, it's gray, it's beautiful, it's home. Today, I'm back to wander into two video game stores so strange they could only exist here. Odd, unusual, maybe even absurd. But so was the place I grew up. This is Flippin' Dip. I was born on a Tuesday, truck keys in my hand. By Wednesday at sunrise, I was rolling through the land. Daddy never raised a quitter, Mama kept me strong. Now I'm flipping and dipping, humming this old song. Flipping and dipping my worries away. Bright and shiny, Ohio sunny day. I tried to explain it, but you wouldn't get it no way. You gotta fight through the weather to love an Ohio day. Now, the other day I was at a GameStop and a guy said, hey, if you're going to go to one video game store, you got to go to Vacuums and Video Games. Now, I'd never heard of the store, but going off the name alone, I was more than intrigued. Now, right off the bat, I'm in Dayton, Ohio, and this is about 45 minutes from my childhood home. Growing up, I didn't spend a lot of time in Dayton unless I was visiting somebody I knew or going to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Now, I like Ohio just fine, but the first thing that comes to mind is not best-in-class video game stores. I was thrown off, flabbergasted, and surprised at the amount of stock that they had at this place. Things that you normally wouldn't find at the best of stores were sitting here like it was no big deal. Now, I'm not gonna lie, as you can tell, some of the prices were a little bit on the premium side, but this store demands a premium. I don't see this many copies of Godzilla anywhere. If you were hit on the head and woke up from a coma right here in this store, I wouldn't hold it against you if you thought you were an Akihabara. Now, it's quite difficult when I go into a store like this because everything on the shelves is more than appealing. Any one of these games could be considered a holy grail for your collection. Many stores might only see one or two of these games in their entire lifetime. And while some people might consider Ohio a flyover state, I say, hey, fly in. Take a look. There's a lot of things to uncover right here. Every single collection they had might be considered the largest collection of that particular rare console that I've ever seen at a singular store. Most stores don't even have a 3DO, let alone an entire case filled with rare 3DO games. This store is made for collectors, people looking for crispy, minty things and are willing to pay a premium for said things. I collect, I definitely do, but I don't tend to collect this way. I do think, however, if there was something that I was looking for a very long time, I'm almost certain they would have it here, and they might even have multiple copies. But in all seriousness, I rarely see CDXs, I never see CDX boxes, and I never see them that clean. Beautiful! And I don't know what this controller is, but it's displayed well enough that if you told me it was rare, I'd believe you. I think this is a store that's made for a certain type of clientele. Mind you, I think there's some sort of irony in the fact that the cleanest looking stuff I've ever seen is in a store called Vacuums and Video Games. The owner told me a story about this game right here. Yes, it's Sculptor's Cut. Yes, I need it to complete my collection. I'm gonna pass on this one today. The person who traded it in actually traded it in as a part of a trade to get Stadium Events from this store right here. Stadium Events, by the way, is a grailed game that is tens of thousands of dollars. Now, if I was looking for other N64 games or perhaps some complete in-box games, this would be a great place to stop. They've got a lot of clean copies of a lot of big games. I also like seeing this kind of weird old school way of pirating N64 games. I guess it was always possible to be a disc system. Now, this store has other stuff as well. If you're looking for games just to play, copies that aren't quite as pristine, they have those that you can look through and hopefully find a bargain. I do find it interesting though that even though I already got Super Bowling, they do not have any copies of Super Bowling. I personally think that Super Bowling might be even more rare than Sculptor's Cut, but you never come across Super Bowling. As much as I love a great video game, I also love video game oddities. The N-Gage was like a cell phone video game console, and I'd love to play one day. I don't know if it'll be a good experience, but I know it'll be an interesting experience. When I was a kid in Boy Scouts, one of my friend's dads had a Commodore 64 and he asked me if I wanted it. He gave me this one. You know, this really isn't that bad of a price for a Nintendo Power, but I'm looking to complete my set at some point. I'm gonna leave this guy here though. I just picked up this game the other day for like $7 more. It bothers me a little bit, but only a little bit. I mean, $7 is just splitting hairs. I mean, what's $7 nowadays anyways? Like 1/100th of a Vectrex? A Game Boy! A game will play a reprint cover. Buena, 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 buena. This is a lot of GameCube games. There's just so many here. I don't know if I want to collect GameCube because there's just so many games, but I need this Darkened Sky, but I really want a manual. By the way, they do have vacuums here, have vacuums in video games. I was actually very surprised that they actually had any. I also think they had some repair parts as well, which is very commendable. I want to say they fix vacuums, but you should probably call ahead and see if they do that. You know, I keep sleeping on Chrono Trigger, but it truly is one of my favorite games of all time. At some point, I'm going to pick one up. But what did they do that Contra Force? It was just so awful. And it's been a minute since I've seen a little Samson at a video game store. It's just really fun to see these bad boys. I do like that some of the high dollar games here are actually very fun. This might be one of my favorite racing games of all time, but it's just a little expensive. I had a Bucky O'Hare like Konami handheld when I was a kid, but that's the only way I've ever played that game. One thing I noticed as I went along was this store had quite a few reprint covers. I gotta say though, they had very high quality ink and printing. I don't know, I've never played this game, I don't know anything about it, but every time I see it, I'm like, I should play this game. It just looks intriguing. This is kind of interesting. This game is backwards compatible all the way up to the Xbox Series X. So basically every console that's ever existed for Xbox, you can play this on. Weirdly enough, same with MX Unleashed, and I've been looking for Path of Neo for a while, so I'm gonna pick that game up. A part of me wants to get every single Wii U console ever made, but a bigger part of me thinks that's very silly. It's a very silly thing to do, but I could probably accomplish half of that goal today at this store. They have so many Wii U consoles right here. This is a premium store for premium collectors. That being said, you can find a deal here and there. This store is definitely worth going to, and if you're in the Dayton area, it's a no-brainer. Vacuums and video games is dope. Now, not 4 minutes away is another wonderful store. This, however, is not B-roll of me going there. I just did not have a good transition clip. Sandwiched between the Ohio BMV and what used to be a public library is a store by the name of Clarkade. Now, I've been here a time or two, but I've always found that Clarkade is a very unique place. Before you even enter the store, you're greeted by this huge diorama of Tomy toys. These are all original Pokemon toys from way back in the day, and it's really neat to see them out here, even though they are getting sun faded. Mixed in with video games are giant displays, kiosks, and arcade games that you cannot find many other places. And if you're into DVDs, by howdy, you can get them for 50 cents a piece. Now, a game I've been looking for a long time is Peter Jackson's King Kong for the Xbox 360. Now, it's a pretty technically impressive game, but I think it's just a little too expensive for what it is. The store has quite an inventory. If you're looking for common games, you can more than fill out your collection here and there. Now, one of my favorite weird rare games to run into is a game called Time Traveler. They actually have another game that's very similar to this, but this is basically one of those choose your own venture games where you have to remember a bunch of timing. It reminds me a lot of Out of This World, or maybe even Dragon's Lair, but it's a hologram game. I don't think there's many others like it, and it's definitely a completely unique experience that's worth trying at least once. It's always a treat to find a standalone copy of Jet Set Radio Future. It's one of my favorite games, and this is my favorite version of this game. They've just never remade this particular version. Now, if you're trying to make a day of going to the arcade, you can do that here as well. I usually don't have time to play arcade games, which is a bummer, but they had so many different arcade games, and I haven't seen an arcade that's this stacked in a very long time. What I like about this store is that the presentation isn't quite pristine, and that's a good thing for me, because that means if I peer around a corner, I might find a super rare GameCube game that I might not find anywhere else. Now, this right here is really cool. It's a Pokemon Stadium kiosk. These used to be at Blockbusters, and if you had your copy of Pokemon Snap, you could bring it in here and print some of the pictures from that game. They also had these little cards that you had to insert into these, and just those cards alone are very expensive nowadays. Now, the first time I ever gave Killer Queen a spin was in a Chinatown arcade in New York City. It was a lot of fun, and it is a great game. It is a 10-person arcade game, and it is hard to describe. You can play it for Switch, but it's not the same as the arcade game. Another big winner right here is a Luigi's Mansion. It's neat to see this game too. It's just a modified version that's nothing like, but kind of related to the GameCube game. We've got a banger alert. They've got a whole bunch of great NES games. Power Blade 2, Double Dragon, tons of good stuff. It's a very clean copy of Chrono Trigger in an acrylic case. Not a bad price either. They've got a Harvest Moon down there, and just chillin' is in Earthbound. Earthbound's gotten so expensive lately. Wild Guns is also a really good game for this console, but like $2.99 for something that ugly? I don't know. My kid really has been enjoying playing with Bionicles, but I don't know if he'd actually like this game. I've heard really great things about this game, but I hear that the best version of it is on the Xbox. So I want to get this for GameCube just because of the fun form factor. I think I might just opt for power on this one. You know, this is another great store in Dayton, and there's quite a few other really good stores in the Dayton area. So if you're ever in Ohio and you're ever in Dayton, you should definitely check out these two stores. And if you've got some more time, look at other stores in the area as well. Now, don't you worry, I haven't forgot about N64. I will be going back to that shortly. And the biggest thing is I'll be doing the Retro World Expo video very soon.